The used motorcycle market just had a meltdown, and almost nobody's talking about it. Bikes that sold for $18,000 new 3 years ago, you can find them for $8,500 right now. Premium ADV bikes with every electronic aid imaginable are sitting on Craigslist for less than a used Civic. Here's the thing. Most riders are still shopping new and getting destroyed by depreciation, while the smart money is quietly scooping up barely used machines for half price. By the end of this list, you'll know exactly which bikes to hunt for and why their prices collapsed so dramatically. 1. 2019 to 2021 Ducati Multistrada, 1,260. A guy in my local riding group bought a 2020 Multistrada 1,260S with 6,400 miles for $11,200. The original owner paid $24,995 new. That's a $13,795 loss in 3 years for a bike that's essentially broken in. The Multistrada market imploded for one simple reason. Ducati released the V4 model in 2021 with radar cruise control and all the fancy electronics, and overnight the 1260 became old technology. Never mind that the Testastrada DVT engine is bulletproof by Ducati standards, or that the 1260 is actually more reliable than the newer V4. The market decided it was obsolete. What makes this collapse fascinating is that the 1260 is objectively a better value proposition. The DVT variable valve timing system has been refined since 2015. We're talking about 6 years of development ironing out issues. Service intervals are reasonable at 9,000 miles for oil, 18,000 for valves. Compare that to the V4's more complex maintenance schedule, and you're saving money long term. The electronics package on the S model is legitimately impressive, even by 2024 standards. Cornering ABS, traction control with 8 settings, wheelie control, cruise control, Öhlins suspension, quick shifter. This isn't outdated technology, it's just not radar equipped. For anyone who's ridden both, the difference in real-world capability is minimal. Real-world fuel economy sits around 45 miles per gallon on the highway, which is excellent for a 158 horsepower sport touring bike. The 5.3-gallon tank gives you over 200 miles of range. The wind protection is genuinely effective, and the seat is comfortable for all-day riding. Depreciation is your friend here. A well-maintained 2019 model with under 10,000 miles runs $10,000 to $12,000. The S model with full electronics and Öhlins adds maybe $1,500 to that. You're getting a premium Italian sport tourer for Honda CB 500X money. The catch is typical Ducati stuff. Parts are expensive, dealer labor rates are high, and you need to stay on top of maintenance. But the 1260 doesn't have the electrical gremlins that plagued earlier Multistradas. This generation is actually pretty solid. That math changes everything. 2. 2017 to 2019 BMW R 1200 GS. Here's a test. Ask any ADV rider what bike they'd buy if reliability and capability mattered more than brand perception. Half of them will describe the R1200 GS, then admit they bought something else because the GS holds its value better. Except it doesn't anymore. The R1200 GS market cratered when BMW released the R1250 GS with the shift cam variable valve timing in 2019. Suddenly, every R1200 on the market got reclassified as old generation, and prices fell off a cliff. A 2018 R1200 GS with premium package that sold for $20,000 new is now trading for $10,500 to $12,500 with under 15,000 miles. That's an $8,000 loss for the original owner and a massive opportunity for buyers who understand what they're getting. The Boxer engine in the R1200 is one of BMW's most proven power plants. This design has been refined continuously since 1923. Yes, over 100 years of development. The 1,170 cubic centimeter iteration produces 125 horsepower and 92 pound-feet of torque, which is more than adequate for any riding you'll actually do. Real-world owners are reporting 200,000-plus mile lifespans with proper maintenance. The 2017-plus models got the liquid-cooled heads, which solved the overheating issues that plagued air-cooled boxer engines in traffic. Mechanics report these liquid-cooled engines are significantly more reliable in stop-and-go conditions. Service intervals are every 6,000 miles for oil, 12,000 for valve adjustments, which is reasonable for a premium bike. Electronic rider aids on the premium models are comprehensive. Cornering ABS, traction control, dynamic ESA suspension that adjusts on the fly, multiple ride modes, hill start control, and cruise control. This isn't outdated technology. It's just missing the 1250's shift cam variable valve timing, which is imperceptible to most riders anyway. The aftermarket for the GS is absolutely massive. Every accessory imaginable exists because this platform has been so popular for so long. Crash bars, luggage systems, tank bags, windscreens, seats, all readily available and usually cheaper than OEM. Fuel economy hovers around 50 miles per gallon, and the 5-gallon tank means 250-mile range. The wind protection is excellent for highway cruising. The suspension is compliant enough for long days but capable enough for fire roads and light off-roading. You're looking at $10,500 to $13,500 for a well-maintained 2017 to 2019 model with the premium package. That's half the cost of a new GS for 90% of the capability. 3. 2018 to 2020 Yamaha MT-09. Most people shopping for a naked bike are focused on the latest models with all the electronics. They're completely missing the MT-09 fire sale happening right now. The MT-09 market collapsed for two reasons. Yamaha released a completely redesigned 2021 model with a new frame and full electronics suite, and the naked bike market got saturated with competitors. The result? 3-year-old MT-09s are trading for $6,000 to $7,500 when they sold for $9,499 new. That's a crime because the 2018 to 2020 MT-09 is one of the most entertaining motorcycles ever built. The 847 cubic centimeters triple makes 115 horsepower with a torque curve that feels like someone attached a rocket to your back. The sound of that triple at 10,000 revolutions per minute is intoxicating. It's angry, mechanical, and completely addictive. The chassis is sharp. The bike weighs only 425 pounds wet, which means it changes direction with almost no effort. The suspension is adequate for street riding. Not track quality, but perfectly fine for back roads and daily use. The brakes are excellent with ABS standard. Electronics are basic by 2024 standards. You get traction control and ABS, that's it. No ride modes, no cornering ABS, no wheelie control, no quick shifter. But here's the thing. The MT-09 is light and manageable enough that you don't need electronic nannies. This is a bike that rewards skill development rather than masking mistakes with computers. Real-world fuel economy sits around 45 miles per gallon. The 3.7-gallon tank is small, giving you maybe 160 miles of range, but naked bikes aren't built for touring. The seat is comfortable enough for 90-minute rides before you need a break. The riding position is upright and neutral, easy on the wrists and back. Reliability has been excellent. The CP3 engine is derived from Yamaha's R1 technology and has proven to be bulletproof. Owners are reporting minimal issues even at 40,000 plus miles. Oil changes every 4,000 miles. Valve checks at 26,000 miles. That's incredibly low maintenance for a performance bike. The depreciation creates an opportunity. You can buy a 2019 MT-09 with 8,000 miles for $6,800. Throw $800 at it for some quality suspension upgrades, and have a bike that's more fun than anything new under $12,000. Is that worth the savings? Absolutely. 4. 2016 to 2018 Kawasaki ZX-10R. I can already hear people saying, a leader bike, those hold their value. Not anymore. The sport bike market has been in free fall for years, and even flagship models like the ZX-10R aren't immune. A 2017 ZX-10R with 5,000 miles is selling for $8,500 to $10,000 right now. That bike was $15,999 new. Track bikes with racing heritage are getting blown out for commuter bike prices. The 2016 to 2018 ZX-10R is a legitimate superbike, not a sport bike pretending to be a race replica. This is the actual homologation model for Kawasaki's WSBK program. The 998 cubic centimeters inline-4 makes 200 horsepower and revs to 14,000 revolutions per minute with a sound that'll give you goosebumps. Jonathan Rea won 3 World Superbike Championships on this platform. The electronics package is still competitive. Cornering ABS, 3-level traction control, wheelie control, launch control, quick shifter, 3 power modes, and Öhlins electronic steering damper. This isn't outdated technology. It's just not the newest generation with IMU-based cornering electronics. For street riding and track days, the difference is academic. The chassis is sublime. Showa BFF forks and a Showa BFRC rear shock that are track-capable right out of the crate. The geometry is sharp but stable enough for street use. The Brembo M50 calipers provide massive stopping power. Everything about this bike is overbuilt for street speeds. Fuel economy is predictably terrible. Maybe 35 miles per gallon if you're gentle. The 4.5-gallon tank gives you 150 miles of range if you're not wringing its neck. The riding position is aggressive and uncomfortable for more than an hour. This isn't a bike for touring or commuting. It's a weapon for canyons and track days. The market collapsed because insurance companies got tired of 25-year-olds wadding up leader bikes, and riders realized that 200 horsepower is unusable on the street. But for experienced riders who want a genuine superbike for track days and spirited weekend rides, the depreciation is a gift. You're looking at $8,500 to $11,000 for a 2016 to 2018 model, depending on mileage and condition. That's World Championship winning performance for used Ninja 650 money. The catch is obvious. This is a specialized tool that requires skill and proper respect. But if you know what you're getting into, the value is undeniable. 5. 2019 to 2021 Honda Africa Twin CRF 1000L. Picture this. A Honda dealer had 5 used Africa Twins sitting on the floor for 6 months. The sales manager finally dropped prices below $10,000 just to move inventory. These were 2020 models with under 8,000 miles that originally sold for $14,399. The Africa Twin market imploded when Honda released the 1,100 cubic centimeter version in 2020 with more power and refinement. Suddenly, the 1,000 cubic centimeter models became old, even though they're mechanically simpler and arguably more reliable. The parallel twin engine in the CRF 1000L has been bulletproof since its introduction. There are virtually 0 catastrophic failures documented. What makes this collapse absurd is that the CRF 1000L is better suited for most riders than the 1100. The power is more manageable off-road, the weight is slightly lower, and the maintenance is straightforward. Service intervals are every 8,000 miles for oil, 16,000 for valves. That's incredibly long for an adventure bike. The DCT dual-clutch transmission models took the biggest depreciation hit because riders assume automatic transmissions are less capable off-road. That's wrong. The DCT is phenomenal off-road. It allows you to focus on line choice and throttle control without worrying about clutch modulation. Off-road riding schools are increasingly using DCT models because they let beginners concentrate on riding instead of shifting. Electronics include traction control, ABS, can be disabled for off-road, wheelie control, and cruise control on later models. The suspension is fully adjustable, Showa components that are perfectly adequate for most adventure riding. The seat is comfortable for all-day riding, wind protection is good, and the fuel economy sits around 50 miles per gallon. The 5.3-gallon tank gives you 250-plus miles of range, which is crucial for adventure riding in remote areas. The riding position is neutral and comfortable. The bike is tall but manageable. It's designed to be accessible to a wide range of riders. Real-world owners report minimal issues. The parallel twin is simple, reliable, and easy to maintain. Parts are Honda-priced, which means reasonable. Independent mechanics can work on these without special tools or training. This isn't a complicated Italian exotic. It's a Honda that'll run forever with basic care. You're looking at $9,000 to $11,500 for a 2019 to 2021 CRF 1000L with under 10,000 miles. DCT models add maybe $500 to that. You're getting a proven adventure platform for mid-size ADV bike money. The window might not stay open forever. 6. 2017 to 2019 Triumph Street Triple RS. Most people have never heard about what happened to Street Triple prices. And honestly, Triumph probably wishes it stayed quiet. The Street Triple RS market crashed when Triumph released the 2020 Plus models, with styling updates and minor engine revisions. The changes were cosmetic and incremental, but the market treated the 2017 to 2019 bikes like they were suddenly obsolete. A 2018 Street Triple RS that sold for $12,900 new is now worth $7,500 to $8,500 with low mileage. That's absurd because the 2017 to 2019 RS is mechanically identical to the newer models in every way that matters. The 765 cubic centimeters triple makes 121 horsepower with a power delivery that's smooth, linear, and completely addictive. The engine note is one of the best in motorcycling, a high-pitched wail that sounds exotic without being obnoxious. The RS spec includes Öhlins suspension, Brembo M50 brakes, quick shifter, cornering ABS, traction control, 5 ride modes, and a TFT dash. This is a full-spec naked bike with premium components throughout. The chassis is nimble and precise. The bike weighs just 410 pounds wet and handles like a 600 cubic centimeters super sport. Real-world fuel economy averages 48 miles per gallon, which is excellent for a performance naked. The 4.4-gallon tank gives you around 200 miles of range. The seat is comfortable for 90-minute rides. The riding position is sporty but not aggressive. It's a sweet spot for backroad blasts and daily commuting. Reliability has been excellent. Triumph's 765 Triple is one of their best engines, smooth, powerful, and mechanically sound. Owners report minimal issues even at high mileage. Service intervals are every 6,000 miles for oil, 12,000 for major service. That's reasonable for a performance bike. The aftermarket is solid because the Street Triple has been popular since 2007. Exhaust systems, tail tidies, frame sliders, and performance parts are readily available. The bike is easy to work on and doesn't require special tools for basic maintenance. The depreciation is a gift for buyers. You can get a fully loaded RS for the price of a base model MT-09. The Öhlins suspension alone is worth $2,000, plus if you were upgrading from stock components. You're essentially getting premium parts for free. $7,500 to $9,000 buys you a 2017 to 2019 Street Triple RS with under 10,000 miles. That's premium middleweight performance at budget bike prices. 7. 2018 to 2020 Indian Scout Bobber. Here's what mechanics notice first when a Scout Bobber rolls into the shop. It's built like it was engineered to survive a nuclear war. The Scout platform has been around since 2015, which means Indians had nearly a decade to refine any issues. The 1,133 cubic centimeters V-twin makes 100 horsepower and 72 pound-feet of torque, which is plenty for a cruiser. The engine is liquid-cooled, fuel-injected, and has proven to be exceptionally reliable. Mechanics report minimal issues even at 50,000 plus miles. The market crashed because cruisers in general have been falling out of favor with younger riders, and Indian flooded the market with multiple Scout variants. The Bobber, 60, Rogue, and Standard Scout all compete for the same buyers. Add HD's marketing dominance, and Indian Scouts are sitting unsold on dealer floors. A 2019 Scout Bobber that sold for $11,999 new is now worth $7,000 to $8,500 with under 5,000 miles. That's nearly half price for a bike that's barely broken in. Some dealers are blowing out leftover 2020 models for $9,000 just to clear inventory. The Bobber is objectively well built. The frame is rigid, the welds are clean, the paint quality is excellent. The fit and finish rivals bikes costing twice as much. The Mini Ape handlebars give you an aggressive riding position that's surprisingly comfortable. The seat is solo only, which limits practicality but looks fantastic. The suspension is basic, no adjustability, not much travel, but it's adequate for cruiser duty. The brakes are excellent with ABS standard. Fuel economy sits around 50 miles per gallon, and the 3.3-gallon tank gives you 165 miles of range. The bike is low, manageable, and easy to ride in traffic. Electronics are minimal. ABS and fuel injection, that's it. No traction control, no ride modes, no fancy dash. But cruiser buyers typically don't care about electronics. They want style, sound, and reliability. The Scout Bobber delivers all three. The exhaust note is glorious, a deep V-twin rumble that sounds proper without being obnoxiously loud. Aftermarket exhaust systems are plentiful if you want more volume. The bike attracts attention everywhere you ride it. Indian's dealer network is limited compared to Harley, which affects long-term ownership. Parts availability is good, but not as ubiquitous as HD. Maintenance costs are reasonable. This isn't a complicated bike requiring specialized tools. You're looking at $7,000 to $9,000 for a 2018 to 2020 Scout Bobber with low mileage. That's bargain pricing for a bike that's built to last and looks fantastic doing it. 8. 2017 to 2019. Suzuki GSX-S 1000. I can already hear people saying, Suzuki? Nobody wants those. Exactly. That's why they're so cheap right now. A 2018 GSX-S 1000 with 6,000 miles is selling for $6,500 to $7,500. That bike was $10,999 new. The market has completely written off Suzuki sport bikes, creating the best value in naked bikes right now. The GSX-S 1000 uses the engine from the legendary GSX-R 1000 K5, arguably one of the best inline fours ever built. Suzuki detuned it slightly for street use, resulting in 145 horsepower with a wider power band. The engine is bulletproof. This platform has been refined since 2005, and catastrophic failures are virtually non-existent. The chassis is competent without being special. Kayaba suspension that's adequate for street riding, Brembo brakes that provide excellent stopping power, and a steel frame that's heavier than aluminum competitors but also more compliant. The bike weighs 468 pounds wet, which is porky for a naked bike but not enough to ruin the handling. Electronics are basic. 3-mode traction control and ABS. No ride modes, no cornering ABS, no wheelie control, no quick shifter. But the GSX-S 1000 doesn't need electronic intervention because the power delivery is smooth and predictable. This is an old-school naked bike that rewards throttle control and rider skill. Fuel economy averages 42 miles per gallon. The 4.7-gallon tank gives you nearly 200 miles of range. The seat is comfortable for long rides. The riding position is upright and neutral. No wrist pain or lower back issues. Wind protection is minimal, but that's typical for naked bikes. Reliability is Suzuki's strong suit. These bikes run forever with basic maintenance. Oil changes every 3,500 miles. Valve checks at 14,500 miles. That's aggressive maintenance, but ensures longevity. Parts are cheap, and any competent mechanic can work on a GSX-S 1000 without special training. The aftermarket is limited compared to more popular bikes, but basic stuff like exhaust systems, frame sliders, and tail tidies are available. The bike is easy to work on, no complex fairings to remove, straightforward maintenance access. The depreciation is brutal for original owners, but fantastic for buyers. You're getting 145 horsepower and GSX-R heritage for less than most people spend on a used Ninja 650. The performance is there, the reliability is proven, and the price is stupid cheap. $6,500 to $8,000 buys you a 2017 to 2019 GSX-S 1000 with reasonable mileage. That's flagship naked bike performance at middleweight prices. 9. 2018 to 2020. KTM 790. Duke. Unlike every other bike where depreciation happened gradually, the 790 Duke crashed overnight when KTM discontinued it in favor of the 890 Duke. The 799 cubic centimeters parallel twin makes 105 horsepower with a power delivery that's aggressive but manageable. The engine is smooth, responsive, and surprisingly refined for a parallel twin. KTM engineered this motor with a 270-degree crank to eliminate the typical parallel twin vibration. The result is a bike that feels like a V-twin, but with parallel twin simplicity. A 2019 790 Duke that sold for $10,499 new is now trading for $6,000 to $7,000 with under 8,000 miles. That's a $3,500 loss for the original owner in just 4 years. The market decided the 790 was obsolete the moment the 890 launched, even though the differences are minor. The chassis is spectacular. The bike weighs just 384 pounds dry, making it one of the lightest middleweight nakeds available. The WP suspension is track-capable with plenty of adjustability. The cornering clearance is massive. The steering is quick without being nervous. This bike encourages you to ride aggressively. Electronics include cornering ABS, traction control, multiple ride modes, and a TFT dash with smartphone connectivity. The quick shifter is standard and works flawlessly. For a middleweight naked, the electronics package is comprehensive. Fuel economy sits around 50 miles per gallon. The 3.7-gallon tank is small, giving you maybe 180 miles of range. The seat is firm and narrow, comfortable for 60 minutes before you need a break. The riding position is aggressive and sporty. This is a hooligan's bike designed for backroad blasts, not touring. Reliability is the question mark. KTM's reputation for electrical issues and build quality concerns is well documented. That said, the 790 Duke has been relatively solid. The LC8C engine is simpler than KTM's previous parallel twins, with fewer failure points. Owners report mixed experiences. Some have zero issues, others deal with minor electrical gremlins. Service intervals are aggressive at 4,600 miles for oil, 9,300 for major service. That's typical KTM. They expect you to maintain the bike properly. Parts are expensive, and not every shop wants to work on KTMs. Long-term ownership requires finding a competent mechanic. The depreciation makes the 790 Duke compelling despite the concerns. You're getting one of the most entertaining middleweight nakeds ever built for used SV650 money. The performance is addictive, the handling is sublime, and the price is hard to ignore. $6,000 to $7,500 buys you a 2018 to 2027 90 Duke. Just budget for maintenance and find a good mechanic before you buy. 10. 2017 to 2019 Harley-Davidson Road Glide Special. I saved this one for last because it represents the biggest price collapse nobody's talking about. Harley-Davidson's bagger market completely imploded. A 2018 Road Glide Special that sold for $26,989 new is now worth $13,000 to $15,000 with under 10,000 miles. That's a $12,000 to $14,000 loss in 6 years. Premium baggers, bikes that were supposed to hold their value, are getting destroyed by depreciation. The collapse happened for multiple reasons: Harley's aging demographic, younger riders rejecting cruiser culture, Indian and other competitors eating market share, and Harley flooding the market with too many models. The result is used baggers sitting unsold for months while desperate sellers keep dropping prices. The Road Glide Special is objectively well built. The Milwaukee 8 114 engine makes 122 pound-feet of torque, which is massive. The frame-mounted fairing provides excellent wind protection. The premium audio system sounds fantastic. The reflex-linked brakes with ABS are confidence-inspiring. The Showa suspension is surprisingly capable for an 800-pound bike. Electronic rider aids include traction control, ABS, cruise control, and multiple ride modes. The infotainment system has navigation, Bluetooth, and smartphone integration. For a touring bike, the technology is comprehensive and user-friendly. Fuel economy averages 45 miles per gallon on the highway. The 6-gallon tank gives you 270 miles of range. The seat is comfortable for all-day riding. The saddlebags hold a massive amount of luggage. The bike is designed for eating miles on interstates with minimal fatigue. Build quality is typical Harley, heavy, solid, and designed to last. The paint quality is excellent. The chrome work is substantial. Everything feels overbuilt and premium. These bikes will run 100,000 plus miles with proper maintenance. Service intervals are every 5,000 miles for oil $10,000 for major service. Maintenance isn't cheap. HD dealers charge premium labor rates and parts are expensive. Independent mechanics can work on these, which helps control costs. The aftermarket is enormous. Every conceivable upgrade, accessory, and customization part exists for the Road Glide platform. You can personalize these bikes endlessly. The catch is obvious. This is a Harley bagger, which means it's heavy, expensive to insure, not particularly fast, and polarizing in the motorcycle community. But for riders who want a premium touring platform with massive depreciation working in their favor, the Road Glide Special is hard to ignore. $13,000 to $16,000 buys you a 2017 to 2019 Road Glide Special with low mileage. That's half the cost of a new one for a bike that's barely broken in. The depreciation is brutal for original owners, but creates opportunity for buyers who understand what they're getting. A premium touring machine built to last. The Road Glide proves something important. Even hold their value motorcycles can crash in price when market conditions shift. And right now, those shifts are creating opportunities. These 10 motorcycles share something beyond just being depreciated. They represent genuine capability at prices that suddenly make sense for riders who've been priced out of premium bikes. Your choice depends on your riding style. Want a sport tourer? The Multistrada 1260 delivers Italian performance for Honda money. Need a naked bike? The Street Triple RS or MT-09 offer premium performance at budget prices. Looking for adventure capability? The Africa Twin or R1200GS provide proven platforms at massive discounts. The common thread is market timing. These bikes crashed in price not because they're bad, but because market conditions, new model releases, and demographic shifts created a perfect storm of depreciation. Which one would you buy? Drop a comment below. And if you've scooped up a depreciated bike recently, tell me about it. I want to hear the deal you got. Hit subscribe for more deep dives into motorcycle value opportunities. Next video, we're exposing the bikes that actually hold their value and why. Some will surprise you. Thanks for watching.